The MacBook Pro 16 is literally the best laptop that you can buy on the market right now. And it's probably going to continue being the best option as we go into the holiday season of 2020. And you, yes you, should definitely buy one. So, why is that? Let's find out. I can't break it, I gotta make the video on it. And while we're finding out, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Squarespace. What's up everyone, I'm the Everyday Dad, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. Yes, I know, Apple Silicon is coming, and that will be the next herald of computing, and we should never even consider buying anything else until that comes out, right? No, that's not the case. There is work that needs to be done today, and Apple Silicon isn't here today. And even when it does come out, that won't invalidate the wonder that is the MacBook Pro 16. I've been using the MacBook Pro 16 in some way, shape, or fashion since it was released about a year ago. I bought one of the very first ones and it was one of the very first Mac-related videos here on the channel. I've been so impressed that I did end up buying a higher spec one later on, and I use this as my primary work computer when I need a computer's power. Here's what today will not be. Today will not be an unbiased or let's show us both sides of the argument because fairness is good for fairness sake. No, that's not today. This will be biased as heck, and I'm gonna spend the next probably lots of words convincing you that even though it's almost a year old, that's like 100 in technology years, even though Apple Silicon is coming, you should buy one of these because darn it, it's worth it. First off, here's the best reason, and if you are only going to listen to me today for one reason, well, good thing I put it up front, right? Yes, this is a powerful laptop, more on this later. Yes, these have great keyboards, more on that later also. And yes, they are thermally managed very well. Yes, Gary, we get it, move on please. You can find these refurbished on the Apple website. That's the reason. Seriously, you can save so much money on a MacBook Pro 16 that I don't see the reason to buy one brand new anymore. And the best part about buying one of these refurbished, especially if you buy it from Apple, is Apple treats these like they're brand new. This MacBook Pro 16 right here, it's actually a refurbished one that I did purchase from Apple. And I saved about $600 on this configuration. The literal only difference between buying a brand new MacBook and buying one of these refurbished ones is it says refurbished, like there's a little block that says refurbished on the box. That's it. Nothing on the Mac itself. These things show up pristinely clean and ready to go. Look, I could end the video right there. I mean, how do you follow up that you can buy one of the most powerful, best running laptops on the market for hundreds off while still getting the same warranty and return policy? Let's find. I'm laughing a lot today. The second reason to buy the MacBook Pro 16 is the power that you can get under the hood. Of all the laptops that I've had come through this office, this is probably the one with one of the most stacked CPU, GPU combinations that you're gonna find. And yes, Windows users, I hear you scoffing and typing angry comments right now. But having an 8-core i9 that suffers no performance loss in the duration of its function, that's pretty darn impressive. And we're not on the thermal performance conversation yet, but for right now, let's just say that thermal performance, real good. That's my biggest problem with a lot of the Windows alternatives. It's not that they're not powerful, because many of them are way more powerful than the MacBook Pro 16. It's that to either get that power, they have to be much bigger, have terrible thermal performance, power throttling issues, or in some cases, they can't even be powered by their own charging cable when under load. That really happened. When I'm looking for a laptop and when I recommend them, it's based off of a combination of all factors, and it's not just CPU performance, which is why it's so impressive that the MacBook Pro 16 hits such a high power mark while also having a lot of other features that we'll talk about here soon. And if you wanted like super graphics power too, you could also get the version with the AMD 5600M graphics card. That will basically eat video tasks alive, and it will barely break a sweat doing so. Would I prefer an NVIDIA card? Probably. NVENC is real. But Apple's metal, it ain't half bad either. The third reason to buy a MacBook Pro 16 is for all of that power, for all of that potential performance. This thing does not have a thermal throttling issue like previous MacBooks and even some of the current smaller MacBooks. I know I lecture this, I get on my soapbox often, but thermal performance is the #1 most important thing when it comes to a laptop. Honestly, if we're looking at like the list of most important things on a laptop, it's probably the top 3 things to look for because everything else spec-wise, it needs to be properly cooled or they just won't work as well as you are paying for. Heat is the enemy here, folks. Heat is the enemy of your laptop, and if it gets too hot, you're basically taking your money and you're throwing it away. This is me chucking my money away because as it gets hotter, you won't be getting the performance of the specs or the components that you paid for. When it comes to this, I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they did it. Look how small this thing is. Look at how small this thing is. You don't have gigantic fans here, and I've never had a thermal issue with the MacBook Pro 16. I play World of Warcraft on the highest settings for a couple hours a day with my son. I do all of my video coloring, editing, audio processing, and rendering through the MacBook, and while yes, you can hear the fans turn on, it's never like they're overly obnoxious or they're distracting. They're very comparable to other laptops on the market. This has never once overheated on me or thermally throttled itself. That's very impressive, which leads into the fourth reason you should buy a MacBook Pro 16. Look at how small this laptop is. I mean, sure, it's a big laptop. It is 16 inches and on the larger side of the laptop hierarchy, but with a 16-inch screen, this thing should be way bigger than it actually is. Having a smaller laptop with bigger laptop capabilities, it's just so nice when you do end up having to travel for work. You don't need as much junk. You don't need an external monitor when you've got a big 16-inch monitor, and all of this package easily fits inside of your backpack. I, no kidding, just traveled for work like 2 weeks ago, and I could only bring the barest of essentials with me, and though I have a boatload, like I've got so much electronics junk in my office, I picked the MacBook Pro 16 because it gave me the most capability in the smallest package. Really quickly, since I couldn't find another section to put this in, and we are already talking about bare essentials, the speakers on the MacBook Pro 16 are the best on any laptop currently available. Like, it's not even close. The only other laptop that I've seen that can approach what the MacBook Pro 16 can do with these magical speakers is the MacBook Pro 13. If audio is important to you in the slightest, this is the best you can get. This is the best you can get. I can't say anything bad about these speakers. They are amazing. Fifthly, you know why you should buy one of these things. Probably pretty obvious if you realize what YouTube channel you were watching. So let's all say it together. Come on, everybody say it together. The keyboard. Typing is something that I do for basically 90% of my day. Writing is in every facet of my life. It's the thing that I get paid the most to do, either through plans, emails, paper for my day job, or scripts, shot lists, video plans here on the YouTube channel. Typing, I take typing really seriously, even though it is probably on the more boring side of what a computer can do. It matters more to me than almost anything else in this laptop, and thankfully, the MacBook Pro 16 is probably the second best typing experience you are going to find. I do prefer the MacBook Pro 13 keyboard for its slightly smaller size. The keys here feel crisp, and can you hear that? They feel crisp and downright refreshing to type on. You don't have to worry about click-clacking away with something too mechanical, but they also don't feel too soft or mushy either. It's a fine tightrope balance you need to walk with a keyboard to ensure that it's just right, and this keyboard is just right. Obviously, I love the keyboard, and this next thing is not to negate how good that keyboard is, right? But the next reason to buy the MacBook is I love that you can take one of these MacBook Pros, especially the MacBook Pro 16, and use it as either that wonderful travel laptop that we mentioned earlier, or with a few key accessories, you can turn this into a desktop computer. The versatility of these laptops, and when I say these laptops, I do mean all MacBooks. We're talking about the MacBook Pro 16 today. The versatility is out of this world. Sure, any laptop with Thunderbolt 3 could do something similar, but here, all of that power, combined with the thermals, combined with the Thunderbolt 3, give you fantastic desktop power out of this laptop. And unless you want an iMac or you want to drop $6,000 on a Mac Pro, it's kind of your only Mac OS option for desktop use. For me, I just have a little dock that my monitor, speakers, power, Ethernet, all of these things plug into, and I connect the dock via the MacBook with one cable, and that's it. When I need to travel, I unplug that one cable and I'm on my way. I have mentioned before that my dock doesn't provide exactly the amount of power that the MacBook Pro 16 needs, but I've been using it for the last month without a separate power cord, and I haven't really seen the battery drain all that much. This is insanely awesome. Just the best workflow you could hope for, and even with my new big widescreen monitor, the MacBook easily pushes its display to that thing. It easily can push to it. This is gonna be the obligatory Apple ecosystem reason that is either gonna make you're gonna be like, I totally agree, Gary, you're awesome, I totally agree, the Apple ecosystem is the best. Or you're gonna groan, and whatever feeling makes you groan because you're sick of hearing about something. But another fantastic thing about the MacBook Pro is being able to so seamlessly share files between my tablet, my phone, my watch, all of this stuff. It works easily back and forth that I can start a project on one and finish it on another. Also, I can continue to chat via iMessage, and I can even do FaceTime meetings in a snap using the 720p camera. hopefully they upgrade that soon. If I'm making a YouTube video and I realize that I need an extra clip or B-roll segment that I forgot to take, I can record it on my phone and airdrop it to my laptop instantly. It takes literal seconds, and I do this all of the time. When editing on a Windows machine, you can use cloud services to do that, but it takes longer, and sometimes I don't want to wait. Sometimes we got work to do. I don't want to wait for that. Plus, if we are talking software here for a second, taking screenshots on Mac is the easiest process of any computer I've ever used. You can set it up however you want in the settings. They take immediately and they save to your desktop in one hotkey press. On default Windows, it's like 4 button presses and several clicks. I get it. That sounds funny. Oh, you're upset about 4 button clicks? Yes, that is a big deal. Wait until you are using 30 screenshots in a video. You do 3 videos a week for a year. All of those button presses add up fast. Screenshots on Mac are amazing. Oh, and screen recording is super easy, by the way, too. You don't need any extra software. QuickTime? Now, I do most of my actual scheduling and work on my iPad, but what's great about it is it's then instantly mirrored on my Mac, so when I do sit down to start my video editing or another big computer task, I have all of the same information without needing to have the actual iPad open in front of me. Yes, there are other options out there that could do it too, but this does it all default. You don't have to mess with anything, it just does it for you. And the last and final reason to buy a MacBook Pro 16, if you weren't swayed by the buying it like new for hundreds off, the power, the thermal performance, the versatility, if you weren't swayed by all of those things, even if something new comes out in the next few months, let's say they update the MacBook Pro 16 with the newest 10th gen Intel chips. Or let's say Apple's been able to keep the Apple Silicon 16 like under such a good rep that there hasn't been a single rumor come out, and we're all taken by surprise. We're all taken by surprise if they announce it later this year. Even if that happens, this MacBook Pro 16 will still be one of the most powerful computers, and it will continue to be supported for a long time, even after the transition to Apple Silicon. Like I've said legitimately and literally a lot today, but this computer is legitimately the best all-rounder on the market at any price point today, and you should absolutely buy one. Thanks to today's sponsor, Squarespace, you can create your own very beautiful website. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a professional website, online store, or portfolio. It's easy to claim a domain/URL, create a custom site that matches your style, and bring your ideas to life. Head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/everydaydad to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. And thank you for watching.